right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. In this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about Penn State quarterback draft prospect Drew Allar. Man, such a fascinating case study when we look at him as a quarterback draft prospect, right? Because there's so many things to absolutely love, but there's a lot of things that really make you scratch your head and question his projection to the next level. The highs are just so damn high, but the lows are also pretty low. You just feel like, okay, coming off of a season where it ended prematurely with a broken ankle, with the combine this weekend, is he going to go through the testing? If he is good to go, I am really excited to see him drop back, sling the rock a little bit in a dome here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think Drew Allar has a real opportunity to, his first real opportunity to boost his draft stock this pre-draft cycle. So let's talk about the strengths here. And I think the first thing that just is so striking about Drew Allar is the size. 6'5", 235, with an absolute bazooka for an arm. I think he has the best arm in the class. I mean, he can rip off these 50-yard bombs, and it doesn't even look like he's trying, right? He is such an effortless throwing motion. He can drop it in the bucket. I mean, I would not be surprised if Drew Allar could sling the football 70 yards. I would not be surprised, right? Sometimes you see like these bigger arm quarterbacks, like Josh Allen started it, Anthony Richardson. Who else over these past couple seasons? Joe Milton was another one where they get to the combine and then they just hold on to the football for like that extra second or two on the go route just to uncork one. I think Drew Allar, again, if he throws, he's going to have those wow types of moments. So the arm strength, I think, in my personal opinion, the power, the torque that he could put on the football, the distance in which he can throw it, the distance in which he can put the football, I think it's second to none in this entire class. Second to none. He could throw it through a brick wall. Like, that is the type of power we're talking about here. And Penn State fans know this. Now, you also feel like Allar's a gamer, right? He will put his shoulder down. He'll truck somebody over. He'll get up. He'll flex. He'll, run his mouth to the defense. Like, I love all that stuff. I actually did a few videos with Landon Tangwell, former Penn State guard who was teammates with Olu, and he loves Drew Allar, man. He will go to bat for Drew Allar every single day of the week. And I remember Landon telling me just how good of a guy Allar is, how much he's liked in the locker room, and how much effort he actually pours into becoming great. So I think, from that standpoint, the whole like leadership, how is he as a teammate, that whole dynamic of being a leader / quarterback, that box is checked. Now, one thing that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to Drew Allar, I actually feel like he has a really high football IQ. And I understand that he's considered like a raw prospect, and we're going to talk about some of the weaknesses or concerns in just a sec, but I think at times, at least when I've watched him on tape, back in 2024 and in 2025, he would have these high IQ moments where the play's set up to go a certain way, and that read might look like he's ready to deliver it, but at the last split second, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the look. He sees a defender flying over to the football. He doesn't want to get his running back or his wide receiver's head taken off by a hit, and he will pull it back at the last split second to find another option to maybe extend a play, get outside the pocket. And on the surface, like if you're just watching that, just kind of, you're just flipping through the channels and you're watching that, you're like, the quarterback's indecisive. I actually disagree. I think Allar does a pretty good job of understanding, hey, you know what, let me not force this here. And I think that's reflective in his touchdown to INT ratio. For a guy that's labeled as an inaccurate passer and someone who's streaky, right, has good games, has not so great games, I do think he makes good decisions with the football. He doesn't, from what I've seen, put the ball in harm's way over and over and over again. It seems like when he misses, it's simply due to accuracy problems, not so much, I don't know what I'm looking at, let me just huck it in a double coverage, or I'm getting fooled by safeties that are baiting me in the back end, or a corner is testing my luck on the boundary and is daring me to throw it. I'm just going to launch it in there. It doesn't really feel like Drew Allar struggles in that department. So the foundation of Allar, I think, is really exciting, right? He has the big body where he can hang in the pocket, stand tall, see over offensive linemen. He has the power arm that can play in the Northeast, can rip it in the rain, be able to stand in, take hits. Like, from a physicality and overall frame standpoint, Drew Allar checks those boxes. Again, you know he loves the game. You know he's dedicated. And for what it's worth, I think he's actually a really good fit for the Frank Reich offense, right? Where you talk about, the different quarterbacks that Frank has worked with before in the past, the Andrew Lucks, the Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, right? Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers. It's the prototypical pocket passers, guys that can mentally process, guys that can win from the pocket, see over the offensive line. It seems like Boomer Esiason was talking about it, right? He doubts that a quarterback under 6 foot will be starting for the Jets next season. I tend to agree with Boomer here. And if we're talking about a developmental quarterback prospect, right, that's we're not asking Allar to come in and save jobs immediately. We're not asking him to be Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, right? Start right out of the gate and go win us 10 games. No, it's developmental. If we go out and land a Kirk Cousins, Jacoby Brissett, take your pick on any sort of veteran stopgap, Drew Allar feels like the prototypical developmental quarterback. Again, size, arm strength, loves the game, shows off a high IQ, good system fit. Let's make sure that he has a full season on the bench, right? Watching someone go out there and do it, having him process in meetings, of course, loading in all these different training camp reps and practice reps and preseason snaps, like all part of the development plan. Because again, the foundation is there with Allar. It's just about the refinement. It's just about the consistency. It's just about the polish with him. Nobody can deny that he isn't strong enough or tall enough or doesn't have a good enough arm. All those boxes are checked. Now, of course, the counter argument, the pushback, is every year we have these big arm quarterbacks that look the part, but when it actually comes down to it, they're picked on day 3, and then in a year, you don't really hear from them ever again. Some, of course, do end up panning out, but in the case of Drew Allar, in my opinion, there's enough there to get excited about. There are some real downsides, though. This goes without saying, but of course ended the season with a season-ending injury, broken ankle. So it's not a 100% lock that he's going to do everything at the combine, but we already knew that. That was kind of the precursor here. The first big question mark, it's you don't really know exactly what Drew Allar you're going to be getting, right? And unfortunately, you kind of felt like the bigger games, right? Penn State has a massive game this week, whiteout game against Oregon, games against Ohio State. It's like those are the games that Allar, you feel like it's just a little underwhelming. Now, how much of that is on Allar directly? How much of that was on James Franklin? But it's been a trend with Penn State over the past handful of years, just never being able to get over that hump. Right? They can dominate the Big Ten. They can win all their out-of-conference games. No problem. We're going to breeze right through. Great team. I think James Franklin's a great ball coach. I'm totally excited to see what Matt Campbell does taking over. But of course, looking at the Franklin tenure, great football coach, but he just couldn't get the squad over, beating the Ohio States, beating the Michigans on a consistent basis. Now Oregon, of course, is in the Big Ten, and that was kind of the blast off point for Dante Moore's draft stock, right? I remember watching that game. I was up in, I think I was in New York, Western New York. I was watching that game with my buddy Jordan, who's a big Oregon fan. We were watching that game, and we were talking about it after, like, man, Penn State falls short again. Again, is that a Franklin thing? Is it an Allar thing? Is it just the combination of everything? Who really knows up to this point, right? Only time will tell, right? Because Franklin's out with Virginia Tech and Allar's going to the NFL. But it's a fair question to ask because it happened over and over and over and over again. It wasn't just a one-off thing or just a poor season. No, it happened consistently. I think another big weakness, again, is just the misplaced footballs. It feels like when Drew Allar is just not thinking and he's just out there playing loose, playing free, just really ripping passes over the middle of the field, that's really where he's at his best because he's threaded the needle tons of times, right? When I'm watching him on tape, even like this past season, which was considered like a regression year compared to previous seasons, there were still throws where I'm like, dude, he's putting it exactly where it needs to be. Like if it's in any other place, this is a pass deflection or an interception. But he would thread the needle and it would just look awesome, right? Drop it in the bucket down the field. So effortless, so easy. Boom. It's just so much fun to watch. But then literally in that same drive or the very next drive, there would be a pass where there would be a wide open guy in the flat. The short-term accuracy, a major problem. And we do see that with big arm quarterbacks. Joe Milton, that was one of his flaws, right? Short-term accuracy. You look at Josh Allen, right? Early in his career, inaccurate in the shorter parts of the field, right? Screens, slants, the ball just Zach Wilson, right? Another big arm quarterback that had inaccuracy issues with passes closer to the line of scrimmage where you're thinking, okay, is he taking off speed? Is he having to like decelerate his mechanics to make sure that he's actually throwing catchable footballs and he's not just throwing fastballs within like 5 yards of the line of scrimmage? And I think a big part of the inaccuracy problems stemmed from you kind of felt like there were times where Allar's overthinking. He's playing like not to lose, trying to play safe, maybe trying to protect the touchdown to INT ratio. Like, I don't know. I felt like when Allar was in that gunslinger mode, he would just let it fly and good things would happen. But when he would try to dial it back, reel it back in a little bit, that's when you would see him be a little bit more indecisive, and he's like looking at a wide open guy and he throws it and it's way behind, and the receiver's just like, man, like this could have been an easy pick up of 20 plus yards after catch. Like there were a lot of times where that happened, a lot of times. And also too, in a lot of these inaccurate passing situations, sometimes you would see it almost looked like his upper body and his lower body were disconnected, right? Where his upper body starts, like he wants to make the throw, but his feet aren't set. So now the ball is high. And now it's not even close to the wide. There were a couple throws where it's not even in the range of the target, right? Like there's no chance the wide receiver can make a play on the football. Like, slow down and try to one-hand it from behind. Yeah, there were those moments, but there were also throws where it's just like, what was that? There was actually a lot of plays like that in Geno's rookie year, right? Just an easy slant and the ball is way over the guy's head and it just goes right into the safety's hands for just an easy pick. So the accuracy, it's a big question with Allar, the accuracy and the consistency, because it seems like, he would have these fantastic throws every week, but he's also having these head scratchers, it's up and down, up and down, up and down with Allar, and I think you just kind of want to find that consistency. So I think overall, he's definitely an intriguing prospect. If the Jets maybe aren't sold on a Ty Simpson, or they're not enamored with maybe a Garrett Nussmeier size or something, or maybe simply those guys are off the board and you like Allar, you maybe feel like he's a better developmental type of prospect because his ceiling could be higher. And you say, okay, well, we have a coach that backgrounds in quarterbacks, right? Former quarterback, former Super Bowl champion, former offensive coordinator. He's called plays, former head coach. He's played the position. He understands the value of sitting on the bench. Sweet. Then we look at our quarterback coach in Bill Musgrave, who has 25 plus years of coaching the quarterback, coaching offensive football, calling plays, working with all these different guys throughout the seasons. That's 50 years of combined offensive quarterback knowledge right there between those two guys, not even bringing up Seth Ryan, not even bringing up any of the other offensive additions. So if those guys are looking at Drew saying, hey, we like you, we like your skill set, we believe in your skill set, and you fit what we want to do, this is a really, really good starting point. Then you factor in, okay, having a veteran quarterback so you don't have to play right away and you can actually develop, something that the Jets just simply don't do or haven't done. And you kind of feel like the one guy that actually was allowed time on the bench was the one that actually never ended up getting an opportunity in Christian Hackenberg, ironically enough, right? Penn State. So you have the coaching staff, you have I'm going to assume, the luxury of sitting on the bench. And then when it is time for Allar to take over, he's going to be playing behind an above average offensive line and having a wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson to throw to. So I think it's worth a shot on day 3, but who knows, right? This is why the combine's a thing. It's an opportunity to showcase what you're good at, to get meet with teams, get up on the whiteboard, have the quick interviews, really make a good first impression. And another really cool benefit about having that 4th round pick is we're at 103. That's the 3rd pick in the 4th round. And you take a look at the first 2 teams to kick off day 3 of the NFL draft. The Titans are at 101. Cam Ward, they're not going to pick a quarterback there. And then the Raiders are at 102. And you would imagine, okay, Mendoza goes 1. So they're not going to go with Drew Allar unless there's some sort of weird RG3 Kirk Cousins thing, but that just feels weird and very unlikely to this point. So if the Jets want to, and who knows, maybe Nussmeier does fall to the 4th round, and then you have this debate, are you more so team Garrett? Are you more so team Drew? But I don't like speaking in absolutes in February. Maybe there's another riser, right? There was that report that came out about Cole Payton. I don't see him being, a 2nd or 3rd round guy. I think the 1 year of starting experience is a little freaky for me. And he also didn't really blow me away at the Senior Bowl as well. I was hoping he would take that step. But in any case, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.